Welcome to the Calgary Sessions. This is episode number 95. I'm your host, Jeff Humphreys. Today's guest, I've been sitting on this guest for a while, so I can't wait to get into it with him. So go ahead, name and who you are.
My name is Wakefield Brewster. I'm a professional poet and spoken word artist. I am the current poet laureate of Calgary from 2022 to 2024, April to April. Inclusively, I'm known as the Word Wizard and the Lyrical Pitbull. I am a poet and spoken word artist. I believe that I am currently, and have always been, attempting to tell not only my story, but the stories of our people.
Amazing. I have no idea where this is going to go, and the way you're able to speak and the way your mind works, I'm just literally going to sit here and shut up. So don't
Don't do that.
Don't be offended by my silence.
Do that.
So I don't know if you've seen any of these shows, but the gist of it is I like the guests to kind of go back as far as they want to go, where they grew up, how they grew up, what inspired them, just the journey that got them to where they are today.
All right.
So you take it back as far as you want to go, and we'll just kind of weave our way to where you are today.
Okay, and I will ask you to interject wherever you feel you should.
Yep.
And I'll start from the beginning because the beginning is not poetry, not by a long shot. The beginning is age 6, going to church with my parents, living in Toronto. I wanted to be a church organist. That instrument, the first time I heard it, possessed me. The church organ possessed me.
What do you, I grew up going to church too. Where
Anglican, St. Paul's Anglican in Toronto on Bloor and Jarvis. It's the largest Anglican church in Toronto.
Okay. Where was the organ? Was it on the front or was it like up in the...
It's so damn big that it was physically in the front, right behind the pulpit. But the largest of the pipes were right in front of you at the very back wall, and then they hit every wall going around. So when you were present for the final hymn, and it hits the final verse, and it sounds like every single level is being played at once, that roar of harmony, but even the dissonance in it, because it's like he's playing all of the intervals at once. Mm-hmm. It is thunder. Mm. And it got me. Mm. So that's how I began. I told my parents I want to learn the electric organ. They immediately bought me a starter organ, 2-tier, and after playing for 6 years, my mother takes me to the church organist and says, "It's you who's got him here." And he's, "Oh, really?" And because of the kind of kid that I was, away from the arts, you wouldn't have known that I was into the arts. Mm. So he was surprised that I was into this. So he puts me in front of the organ, asked me a few questions, held up some music, told me, he pointed out a few things on the keyboard and asked me to identify it, and I basically got every single thing wrong. So he said, okay. He speaks to my mother, speaks to me, says this is at age 12. He says, to be a good organist, you must first be a good pianist. And I also believe he was saying you need to be a better musician. So he believed I would become a better musician by engaging in the piano, which I engaged in with everything I had. So the beginnings of my present are in the arts at age 6 on the electric organ, then switching to the piano at age 12 and picking up percussion that same year. My big dream was to be one of the only black concert pianists in Europe, playing in amphitheaters for hundreds of white folks, playing on pianos that cost more than cars. That's a really unusual dream for a little black kid from Scarborough in Toronto.
Where did do you have a musical background? Was your family anybody involved in music? It was just
nobody.
You were the first, like.
My brother is older.
Yep.
He's 5 years older. He was playing classical guitar by the time my ears came into the world. He was almost already playing, but that's not what I wanted to do, and it didn't have the sound that drew me in. Hmm. I moved from being an organist to a pianist and a percussionist, and I will say I got pretty good.
Yeah.
I was beginning grade 9 piano Royal Conservatory when I graduated from high school, barely, and went to York University.
What was traditional school? Not your jam?
Oh, well, that was some hell.
What was that? You touched on it earlier. You said there's like this, you had this life outside of the arts, different animal.
We'll come back to the animal. I'll give you this is quicker. We get to York University, and I pursue a BFA, a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Performance Piano. At the audition, there was 50 or more who auditioned, and 19 of us were accepted. And I'll tell you, I believe I was number 19. There's no shame in that. Someone's got to be 1, someone's got to be 19. Mm-hmm. I believe I was number 19.
All 50 you in one room watching each other perform?
No, one after another, though. You can kind of hear it. Yeah. You're in a line. You're all with each other stressed. It's just like it's like getting churned. Mm-hmm. Literally, because some of you got grinded out and didn't make it. Yep. And I believe I was 19. I also believe that it was kind of, I want to believe that it was also some of the, we need some color in the program too. I don't believe it was my ability alone that made me 19, and I believe it was barely my ability that made me 19. I think this was to my advantage because we were in that.
Yeah.
People were trying to make things happen, or at least be performative, or do something.
Yep.
I was good, and to be where I wanted to, you have to be great.
Yep.
Humans are finite, and humans are limited. And I learned after a few years of playing, I really was 19. I actually don't believe I was 19, and I'm not going to be great. I can't do this. That was pretty fucking crushing. So I just
self-realization.
Oh my God, that was the first big one. That was out of all the wee disappointments that I think were big on the way, that was the first big. You've hit a ceiling and it is not glass. It's real.
And what's the reaction when you figure that out?
I'm also a percussionist. Watch this shit. So I go and I audition in percussion, and I make it, and only 6 of us get accepted. Yeah, that's what I thought I was good now.
Yep.
Thing is, they just told you to play the little black dots. There was no creation. I thought with only 6 of us, we didn't just play the drums. We played traditional drum set, but we learned how to play field drums. We learned how to switch on to piccolo drums in your set. We learned how to switch out sounds. Then there's all the orchestra. There's the timpani. There's the vibraphone, the xylophone, the marimba, the glockenspiel, the bells, the cymbal disc. I play all of these things. Anything that you strike. And then we took bows from the other department, and we learned to bow things around us as a percussive technique. I can bow a table if it's built right, and if you find the right spot. I can make it like a singing bowl. I can use a bowl, and I can bowl things that are ordinary objects. I thought, with this power and such a small contingency of us, what are we going to do? Play the fucking black dots. And guess what? I wasn't as good as the other 5 anyway. I think I was 6th for a reason. Same one. We're trying to get you in here. But were you really good enough to get here? I don't have so much ego anymore. I don't think I was. When I realized that I felt stifled by the percussion, and I felt, kind of separated from the piano. It didn't hold the magic anymore because I wasn't going to Europe.
Yep.
That magic was gone. I didn't really want to touch it. Didn't hate it. Didn't love it. Let's go back to age 16 because it has to do this. One night, I saw something on TV. It was powerful. It was poetic, and for no reason I can explain, I had to write a poem.
At 16?
So I go running through the house because somehow when you need paper and pen, there's none. You got 8 junk drawers to fuck everywhere. You can't find nothing to write on or with. It's like, no, of course it's not like that. But I was running through the house. Maybe it was right in front of me, and you know, sometimes when you're in a state, you'll walk past things that are familiar. I think I was walking past paper and pens all over the place, but I was in a state. And when I finally located them, had the Kermit the Frog arms going, and I wrote not one. My memory, there are reasons my memory has these gaps, but it was actually, I wrote 2 poems that night. And not only one of them, but both of them fucking sucked. Come on. But here's the thing. For a decade now, from 6 to 16, I have begun to learn the work of the masters. Beethoven, Brahms, Schubert, Chopin, and the Mazurkas. Without any insult intended or in this world. I'm talking to me, not anyone else. I was simply learning to become a professional parrot. I'm sorry. This is not my work. All of you great pianists who are not composing, but just playing the greats, awesome. Your ability is kick my ass. But someone else wrote Mary Had a Little Lamb. I mastered it. I can sing it. I can play it on any instrument I'm capable of. It ain't mine. The first time I wrote a poem, I penned The Little Black Dots. And that feeling is still possessing me. So there was a split. Because at 16, in my decade of male toxic masculinity, you're not going to run out to the world and tell everyone that you got feelings and angst and stuff has happened to you, and that's why you are the way you are. You keep that to yourself. But I wrote like a fiend, and pardon for the adage, because it is not a polite one. There was an in-the-closet adage for our genderized communities. That's what it was like writing. In that place where no one's supposed to know. But I wouldn't stop writing. When I started to share it to a few people, they said, this is good. And I was like, really? They're like, this is not any kind of poetry I've ever heard of before. Like, what are you saying? What is this? I'm like, sometimes I don't know. But I was told, keep going by a few people.
With that, when you start sharing it, take a lot of courage to decide to do that, or was it just you
Luckily,
trust?
I had a few artsy people like me, so I didn't have courage. I had community at its smallest. I was as scared as I often get now on stages back then, but I was able to share it quite easily with people who would get it because they were like me, even though they weren't poets. Those few people told me never stop writing. As I pursued piano and percussion, I never stopped writing.
It's been there for...
Since 16.
And nobody...
No one knew until I couldn't do piano anymore. And I couldn't do percussion anymore. And I'm still in university. So I decided to make the big switch. I'm going into English. And I'm going to poetry. I'm going to come out. So I do.
There's big swings though, hey? Like just in the creative world to just put the brakes on a couple of ideas and then go down this path.
Wasn't easy. I felt I was betraying myself.
Where any like outside pressures, family, parents, where
Oh yeah, the outside pressures are. We don't give a shit about what it is that you're going through, personally or as a practitioner of the arts. Honestly, I have. This is not a sob story, and it's not my story. It's many of our stories. You don't have support at the impetus of finding what you want to do in the world. You don't, and maybe it doesn't happen for years. However, I decided I'm going to go into poetry now, and I'm at a level of university, so I guess this is serious shit. And after 2 assignments, I received an email And the three elements that that I can remember, as I said, I have gaps for reasons. This is garbage. This is nonsense. And get this one? This is gobbledygook.
No way.
Couldn't even insult me like I was an adult. Put on academic probation, failed out of York University. Didn't stop writing. So that's the evolution of me getting to poetry. I started as a pianist. I became a percussionist and as an organist, became a percussionist and a pianist, and then took my musicianship to poetry because it is my musicianship that comes through my performance.
Like the delivery of them and just the energy and just the...
That's what it is. When I am asked, how is it that you have, and it took years for it to refine itself, there's some action, you work at it, and there's some natural refining, I believe, with the arts. It matures with you and does its thing because you're committed to it. I am a person with a voice that has movement. You don't want me to sing. I can break the glass and the concrete on the same wall with the same note. But my voice can move, and I move it because I've worked with melody, with the piano. I pick and choose every place and space and time for each and every word and rhyme and line. I'm a percussionist. Timing is everything. I literally manipulate time. I'm a walking metronome when it comes to poetic performance. And I'm a black man from the 70s. Rap for a kid wasn't about bitches and hoes and rims and guns and drill and take every one of the negative and built on some spots of truth, stereotypes in the poorest of rap images from whenever you know rap, whomever you are listening to the rap of today. Take all of the what you perceive, take all that imagery out. That's not what rap was for little kids like me in the day. It was camaraderie. It was code, cipher, and safety. Between the languages, the many languages that black cultures can perform and move through fluidly, you'll have patois from the islands, you'll have slang in the Americas, you'll have a mix, especially in places where cultures are together like Toronto. So speaking the way we did with the rhythm and the precision and the melody and the feel, that was just safety and communication. That's what rap was. However, I rap at a professional level. Drop a beat, watch what happens. It's not what I am known for, it's what I do. I'm one of the OGs. I am a poemc. I'm a poet who can rock a mic to beats, do them at the same time, separately in the same song, however you want it. Sorry, Brian. However you want it, I can do that because not all MCs can poet. Not all poets are MCs. So those three musical elements are I would say, the musicianship trifecta that is behind the presentation and the performance of my delivery.
What you took me right here. What were your musical influences back then? Like, how'd you grow up?
Well, number one, for whatever reason, there I am interested in the Baroque era of classical music in Europe. Like, what a kid.
Like random, right?
Random.
Like, I'm sure you're the other kids you were rolling with.
No,
they
were like, what's wrong with you?
Who is this?
And most of the kids around me were white kids. So classical music was doubly, triply foreign. Why do you like it? Because you're an island kid. You like island music, yeah. My parents are from Barbados, and we had calypso music and soca music, and my parents weren't heavy on reggae music. Reggae music is Jamaican. Jamaica is the home of some of the greatest rebellions against slavery and colonialism. Jamaica has a strength in that music of reggae that some people my parents' age generation, and they can't identify it. It's just too rebellious.
Yeah.
However, their musics were my musics in the house.
Like it was just this. There was a soundtrack in the house.
There was.
Like,
But guess what? Every Saturday there was country music being played in the house. So you see, in Barbados, which is pretty much like all the other islands at the time, which is 1941, 42, my parents' father and mother born respectively, to possibly now, I don't know the economics, but you take away colonialism and white people's money, tourism, export, you've got third world countries, man. You don't have vacation spots if white folks' money isn't pumping in there, as it has been historically. Yes, all of us move around and all of us have money. This is how it started. So I can honestly say that the theaters of the time could only afford the cheapest films from America, which were behind the times, and they were spaghetti westerns. So my dad has grown up with an ear listening to country music from Western, spaghetti Western, all of the Western genre was what was in the theaters in this island nation at my dad's growing up. So his ear is for country. Now, I have a soft spot for country music. Hank Williams Sr. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking the old stuff, and when I say Hank Williams Sr. and behind, I don't know the names. Mm-hmm. That's the sound that I have a soft spot for because it reminds me of my father. Mm. So I have every Saturday. It happens to me. I hear country music in the annals of my mind every Saturday. I think of my dad every Saturday. Mm. Then I lived in Scarborough, and Scarborough is like Little Toronto. Especially at the time, it was Little Toronto. Everyone was there, except for mostly my people, unless they were in housing. My entire street, my single street has 126 homes on it. 4 had black families. We were one of them. Mm. My soundtracks are Rush, Yes, Zeppelin, Police, name any rock band between 72 to 92. Those were my soundtracks. Hmm. I'm talking Def Leppard, hair bands like Honeymoon Suite. I know this shit. I got a new girl now. I know this shit, man. Okay? I had to actually seek out black music. To be perfectly honest, except for the island music in the house, which was natural, my dad didn't throw on jazz. Dizzy Gillespie, John Coltrane, Charlie Parker. That wasn't in the house. Mm. Motown was in the house. Mm. You're making me remember things, man.
That's good. Do you, when you decided to go look for black music, did you, it seems like a daunting task back in the day. Like you're not just firing up the Google machine and looking. Like you had to put some effort into this.
Luckily, it's Toronto. Toronto put effort into it. Mm. City TV especially. Master T.
Oh, no way. Yeah.
Rap City.
Yeah.
Yo!
Master T.
Yeah, man.
Wow. I'm born in 77.
72.
So I'm like.
There you go. You're still Gen X.
Yeah, totally. And you said, I was like, wow, I haven't heard that name.
Yes.
Okay.
Michael Williams. Mm-hmm. Monica Diol.
Oh, yeah.
Is that her name? Monica Diol? I hope I didn't get your name. I think it's Monica Diol. Those DJs, VJs, those video jockeys, they were instrumental, pardon me.
Yep.
They were instrumental in bringing black music to life.
Yep.
Because I could also see it. It made it more visceral. It made a more visceral impact on me because when things are visible, they're often more visceral. We are very hardwired to our eyes. I don't care what anyone tells me. We are really hardwired. It still matters what you look like. Yeah, it does. It made rap, especially come alive for me to see and feel and embody it.
Yeah.
My soundtracks they are several rainbows of colors, and some you can't even see. Most people don't know my soft spot for old country music. And like I said, I couldn't name anything more than that one man, but it's that era and backwards. Sorry, Brian.
Brian's a pro.
Sorry, man. That my soundtrack is thanks. I won't say more. I hear so many songs now. Thanks.
No, it's somebody that has a creative background like yourself, and a musical background on top of that.
It's familiar. People need to share stories. This is what I'm saying. You lit up when you heard me mentioning the rock bands.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still that way. People wouldn't expect a brother to start listing off a bunch of hair bands. That's why we share stories. Because we don't live our own story solely alone. We're humans. We have human experiences. That's the only experiences that we are capable of, because we're humans. So I can't possibly live any human experience that is unique. It's only uniquely happening to me. That's it. We had a bonding moment over a lot of hair on white dudes talking about new girls now. That matters, man. That shit matters. That's what I love most about being a poet. I connect with people. It makes me feel good. That's selfish of you. Hell, it is. I want to feel good in this world, and I feel better connecting with you. I would like to celebrate similarities and delight in our diversities, not be divided by differences.
Amazing. You're once you start discovering the VJs, are you still writing too? So you're discovering these VJs. Is your writing any different based on the music you're hearing, or the rhythms and just the...
That's what happened. Things got very rappy. And that's when I started to see that, okay, hold on. Let's do this properly. I had tons of influences. Let's get to the point where the influences then became me, because that's going to answer everything. I wrote poetry and never took it outside of a very tight circle of people who thought I was the shit. I think it's December 9th, 1999, or January 9th, 1999. I'm just checking the date, but I think I'm correct. January 9th, 1999 was the first time I stepped on a stage.
99.
And I invited everyone I knew.
Where are you living at this point?
Downtown Toronto at Bloor and Ossington.
Okay. Bloor and Ossington.
So right next to Ossington Station.
Okay. I lived on, side note, Bloor and Spadina.
Yo, man. Just down the road. Right?
Yeah.
This is why we share stories. Thank you for having me here. This is making me feel wonderful.
Well, that's why when I kicked off this show, I said I've been sitting on this yes for a long time, because I was chomping to get you on here.
So I go to this reading. You remember how it is then. We're 5 years apart.
Yeah, we're there.
Everything's the same.
We're there.
So remember all the weeklies? That's the only place. That was the Google. That was the search engine. Just like, what is it here? Fast forward. What did we have? Now magazine. There you go. Remember Now. Boom. Looking through the nows. Go to the back, right?
Yeah.
And all the poetry readings, the gigs.
Yeah, I chased nightclubs in the back of those.
So did I.
Yeah,
Because I
Una
used to be in a rap metal crossover band.
Of course you did.
So, as the lead singer and drummer.
Oh, wait.
At the same time. So, Man, wow. Okay, I'm almost there. Here we go. Look.
It's your January.
It is Saturday, January 9th, 1999.
You're on
I
the
go to
stage.
this. I go on, and this is the problem.
Is it an open mic night or something?
It's. I thought so.
And was it like open night, spoken word night, or what was it?
My man, it happened to be a poetry slam. The very first time that I decide to share my work, I thought I was at a reading. It was a fucking competition. I go on the because I'm like, what's going on? This bar is 2 lanes. This middle aisle, 2 whole seats, right?
Yep.
And the stage is where you
This is
are.
downtown Toronto?
Yeah, I don't remember where.
Right.
Sorry. And
Details.
this whole side is like all of my people. This whole side is strangers. We all who are going to read get called up to the front. And then we start getting talked to about how this competition's going to work. I'm like, what the fuck is... We draw straws. I think I'm second.
And losing it.
I go up there.
Like, were you, before walking in there, realizing it was a comp, were you a confident human?
As fuck, because I had my tight circle of validation,
And they're all
echo
propping you up.
chambering, motherfuckers saying, we can't wait to hear you.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't wait to
You
be
walked
heard.
in, chest up.
Okay, let me tell you how they caved in my chest. My chest got caved in. Second round, I was out. First round, you're done. Second round, I was out. I'm in the bathroom. I'm looking in the mirror, and there's nothing but... I've never had that face before. There's been a couple of faces I've seen on me that I've only seen once, never again, and never forgotten. That was one. I thought it was the third time I hit the limit. Piano, percussion, poetry.
Yeah.
I was trembling. I was tearing. The fucking half the bar of people who have heard me doing this shit for the last 12 years, that's what they just were introduced to. I will say most people will say, fuck it. And part of me said, fuck this. The worst part of that night was having to go back out and socialize for the rest of the night while the rest of the competition went on.
Yep. Did you as you're watching the other competitors go, did you realize where you fit in the hierarchy of things?
Yeah, once again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. That shit up there is great. And I knew it. Here's the thing. They all look like me. That's a clue. Most people having a first-time experience of something that is literally could be traumatic.
Yeah.
That's traumatic, yo.
Yep.
I was all but laughed off because I spoke. I came up there and spoke. I came up there and read. Everyone else was up there with fire and on fire. I decided to use the internet for useful things. And I started looking up spoken word performances. Got a lot of white folks.
Yep. And this is 99-ish.
2000. This is
2000.
now going into 2000.
Was it like really underground, the spoken word, like slams?
Yes, because
like,
it was can lit. Can lit's really white. There was no white people in slams then. They were held basically by the community. My community was slamming. My community was slamming. The black community in the literary scene during my time, they were slamming. We were slamming. Canlit wasn't. Canlit didn't want any part of anything that was my style.
Yep.
Search, get a lot of white poets, and then I come across Saul Williams.
That's it.
Oh, this guy's poeticizing and he's rapping. And he weaves between the two in his own ways. He uses strict literary structures. He employs purely literary devices. He draws from all he has and puts it forward together. I was like, we're fucking done. And that was it. In the background, just as I was discovering Saul Williams, I discovered Linton Kwesi Johnson, the godfather of dub poetry.
Where are these two characters from?
Saul Williams is possibly a year or two older than me, New York City.
Okay.
Linton Kwesi Johnson is a brother from Jamaica of about 80 now.
Okay.
I, Roy. You, Roy. Prince Farai. Big Ute. Tapazuki. The dub poets and dub reggae was bubbling underneath the same time I was discovering Saul Williams, Mums the Schemer, Jessica Care Moore, brothers and sisters who were doing what I was doing with the spirit of who we are. No one comes to a poetry reading to hear you fucking read. They can read. But your words, you gotta make them feel it. So I took my piano, and I took my percussion, and I took rap, and they back my poetry. And the style of the lyrical pitbull of the word wizard came to life. My two biggest first influencers are Saul Williams and Linton Kwesi Johnson.
How long did it take you to bounce back after that night?
The second I saw Saul Williams, it was the bounce back. And the second I hit the fucking mic, it was crazy. When I hit the mic with my style, it fucked shit up. Let's talk about the effort of an artist. I am mentoring 60 plus artists right now in the TD incubator at Arts Commons. Let's talk about the effort of an artist. Date me. I'm happy for this. Thank you, Lisa LaFlamme. I stopped dying after I saw her go gray. Yeah, I credit Lisa LaFlamme.
No way.
I credit Lisa LaFlamme. Thank you, sister. I embraced this. Black don't crack. I look young. I feel young, but this is giving it away. Thank you. I'm giving it away. Thank you, Lisa LaFlamme. Where was I? I always wanted to thank her. Where was...
I asked you that bounce back, how quick it was, and you were like, the minute you got it, you found your style. The minute you went back to the mic, you found your style, and you were going.
And why did I get to her with the grade? Because I'm sounding old. Let's talk about the effort.
Sorry.
Because I'm sounding old.
And you're helping the next gen.
Yes. So let's
Sorry,
look at people.
took me a few minutes to get
that.
you. No.
Geez. She needs to know. Men thank her. Men who don't look like her thank her. Some of these artists are 15, 20 years younger than me. Yeah, I'm sounding old. And I said just last night at the summit, old school sticks around because it still teaches you. If old school in any capacity is still around, that you can identify it as old school, as analog, that shit's still learning your dumb ass. I'm going to say this. You notice whom I'm looking at? I'm looking at dub reggae artists of the 60s who are much older than me to look forward. I am looking at musics of the masters and artistic styles of the masters to look forward. I believe in the effort of an artist such that, oh my gosh, I forgot. I was on the precipice of something that was about the effort. Okay, yeah. My first year taking my style out. Thank you. It was within the first year. I did 100 shows.
No way.
96 open mics. 4 paid for shows. 3 paid pennies, peanuts, not proper. 1 decently. That was my first year.
All around Toronto?
All in Toronto.
Have you, at this time, had you finished school, dropped out of school, and
Well, I dropped out of university long ago.
then working?
Just working every retail job possible.
Yep.
Like an artist.
Yep.
I'm going to weave something underneath everything very soon, which will compound the struggle. And I went to every open mic. I was in the Now magazine. Sometimes it was 7 nights a week. There I am, broke as fuck, with only enough money to take the fucking TTC there and back, maybe not even drink, to get 3 minutes while Jeff Humphreys is on the mic as the feature. When he's done and they say, here's the open mic, 5 readers, 10 readers, here you go, 3 minutes. People remember my fucking 3 minutes. That's what I did every time. I made myself present and memorable artistically. That's what I went out to do and did it. And you can't do it writing at home. Can't do it sharing it with your friends and family. You can't do it in a vacuum. Every artist needs an audience. It's not in your house and it's not in your head. I took my poetry out to the world.
With confidence? Or was there still this like...
I'm scared now. I have anxiety now. I haven't eaten. This tea, this peppermint tea to keep my stomach settled, which I haven't finished to make sure I have it throughout this. If I ate this morning, I'd have thrown up earlier. And this is 25 years. I am really invested in this. That anxiety lets me know I still care as much as I ever did. I love that I still have to do the thing before I can really rest and digest. It's not unhealthy or it would have killed me by now. It's kept me alive by now. It's kept me alive all these years. And let's just weave it together right now. Vroom. Traumas are real. Mine began at 8. Bigger people and adults suck. So I started drinking at 8. At 18, I'm an adult now. You can get your hands on anything. So I did. And I ingested every single thing, or took it, popped it, drank it, ate it, smoked it. If it didn't mean stick it, I took it. To the point where it's like, hey, wait, didn't even wait to hear it. And that was because I was in pain, I was ill, I've struggled with mental wellness that was unbeknownst to me. I've had a lot of things going on up here and here that have prevented me from being well and feeling well. So from 8, when it all began, to 44, I've lived a life of alcoholism, especially, that's the highest thing, substance abuse, and indulging in my mental unwellness because it can be fun. That has prevented me from being the best human I can be in every sense of the word, but artist. My life of vulnerability, which was put on me. I'm not going to take the blame for that shit. I'm trying to be responsible and work through it now. But I'm saying I didn't ask for that shit. It fucked me up, and it wasn't my fault. I'm going to remind myself, but it really fucked me up. It really messed up my progression through life. Now, here's something that I believe in. We have belief systems. Here's my belief system. I'm here now, and everything that happened had to have happened because it happened. It's not pick and choose. It's not choose your own adventure. Remember it in books?
Oh, yeah.
It ain't that. What happened, happened. And you have to believe that it must be so. So, that shit sucked, but it has been a whole foundry of experience that's not all great, that I can reiterate in poetry, that can be shared with possibly some listeners who have been through some of those things. And now they may not feel so alone.
Mm-hmm.
When people feel alone, completely alone, nothing left to live for, when their sense of belonging truly is gone, suicidal ideation just comes roaring in. And I've had to get through it. And holy shit, I have been scared of, especially men. I've been scared of men all my life. I've never been scared of me before. Whoa. The man who has scared me most in my life, I thought I could identify that one. No, it was actually me. Man, that's something to take stock of. I had lost all sense of connection and belonging. Of course, you do that to yourself too. It physically, factually happens with some relationships. And then you convince yourself that it's illness, right? But you end up alone no matter how you get there. You end up alone. And then you don't want to be alone anymore. How do I get out of this? I get it. I actually get it. And I'm leery of it. The feeling doesn't possess me, but it's still around. Please, I say this openly, honestly, vulnerably. I don't have any specialty in this. I just have a specialty in being aware and no longer lying to myself about what I know. Those darkest moorings still have very thin tendrils.
Do you, without coming to, like, that's a lot of years. 18 to 44 is like,
It's 36.
that's a lot.
I wasn't supposed to make it
No.
to 25. Everyone thought I was.
You were on that path.
Oh,
Driving very quickly.
oh.
Without going through all those experiences, to be able to work with the next generation and, like, you know, if without I don't know how you want to say it, because I'm not putting words in your mouth, but, you know, having some clarity and some understanding of the past, you know, you can't do what you're doing now.
Thank you. And I had a lot of help. Adult Addiction Services.
When did you get here?
2006.
Okay.
Adult Addiction Services. I've had EMS if I've needed. I'm trying to name everyone. Really, I am. I've been to AA. Smart Recovery was the one that did it for me. Really made me feel good about. You can stop doing the stuff, but it doesn't mean you get well.
Right.
It helped me get well. Thank you, Smart Recovery. Counseling. I've had psychiatrists. I've gone the routes of medications. Psychologists. I've done the work.
So you knew, obviously, you put in a large amount of effort to kind of try and help yourself.
That first year of getting sober was intense.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Sometimes I was at a recovery meeting 7 days a week, and often twice a day. It was, you almost get addicted to recovery, which you're warned about. You're warned about. Inside of the groups, they warn you. Now, once you're an addict, you're always an addict. I'm a smoker too. I had to quit cigarette smoking. Once you are an addict, it is addict behavior. It doesn't leave. You have to siphon it into different places. You have to mitigate how much of it. It doesn't leave you. It's part of you. I use my addictive tendencies, in as positive ways as possible. That's all I've got, man. After all the struggle I've been through, to just not abuse myself and not indulge in things, impulse. I have terrible impulse. Terrible. It's hard for me to just, it still is. I fight it all day long. I'm telling you, I'm loving my life now with the last bits of acute struggle. I feel I'm in acute recovery. Life is great. The tendrils I mentioned are very thin. The moorings are very far away. I'm just super aware that it couldn't take very much thoughtlessly or intentionally when you lie to yourself to end up there again. Yeah, I can't fuck around.
That takes energy, daily energy, and focus, and like you're very committed to.
This is Calgary. There are liquor stores all over the fucking place. It's not Toronto where it's LCBO and they're all in designated areas and they all open at the same time, close at the same time. You have to have good timing to be an alcoholic in Toronto. Out here, when I first got here, in the first 2 weeks, I'm being driven around and I'm, my eye is noticing things. Understand? I didn't get drunk here, there, and I was pretty much in an alternate reality most of every day of my adult life. Okay? So I can see things all the time and miss them. They go right to the subconscious and then they start to come back. And I started to notice there's Jeff's liquor store. There's Brewster's liquor store. There's Brian's liquor store. There's Jim, Jack, and John. And I said, what's going on? I said, what is this? Don't you guys have some kind of government like here? And I hear, yeah, we got the AGLC. Or the ALGC? AGLC? I never remember which way. AGLC. However, it's privatized. You can do what you're seeing. You can own a liquor store and be under their umbrella. Open to 10, 11, midnight. Open to 2 a.m. I'm home. Oh my God, did I drink when I got here? And you know why I moved here? Because the lifestyle was gonna kill me. I had to leave Toronto because I was gonna drink, drug, and impulse myself to death. I got here and the liquor stores are open to 2 in the morning. Hook me up.
Was it also the circle you're rolling with out back home? And
yes,
then you
a
had
circle of enabling that come from relationships primarily. I've had 2 previous major relationships, marriages, divorces, 2 estranged daughters, burned through the marriages. I take full responsibility for all of my fuckery. I'm an addict, an alcoholic, and impulsive, and just fucked up sometimes. And I fucked up people's lives. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for this to get potty mouth, but I understand the gravity of the damage that I've done to the people who have told me they love me. But those people have also enabled me. And I can remember purely, for all the haze, there are some instances where I remember purposeful enabling. Where they realized, I want to do something, so why don't you have another? That happened a few times, and I remember when. And it struck me as odd, because you're in the state, and it feels like, thanks! Why? So I had 2 nuclear places of enabling. My relationships, and they hated my drinking. They hated my drugging. They hated me fucking up. But no one said no. So when I got here, I was in another relationship. I left one. It was terrible. In between, I picked up another. It was here, and it became terrible.
You can't, I'm assuming to live
Sorry
all
if
those...
I give you a lot. Sorry, man.
No, it's like, obviously my mind's like trying to keep up here. So like, you understand what I'm trying to digest right now. But like all those years, obviously, I have no idea what that feels like and what that is. But it must be hard to just keep it all on the rails and to like.
Dude, there were moments of super high functioning. There are moments of fooling myself that I was functioning at all. You know what one of the scariest things is? There's a slippery slope in addiction, man. You see, because you set a bar. Okay, I'll never do that. I'll never do that, or that. One day I was walking down the street, pretty sauced. McLeod. I was walking south on McLeod. And I was crossing the street. I was walking north and I crossed the street because I would wander. I'm a chronic walker. So when I was in any kind of state, I would just walk, walk, walk. I remember I was walking north and I crossed that sleek country Canada. Now I'm walking south and I'm on the west side of McLeod. Hey, it's Calgary. I'm putting you where I'm at. And I was thinking about something that I said or did. And I said, and I started to feel it. I said, I'd never do that. And I said, I wouldn't do that. I said, I wouldn't do that. And I'm really sorry about that one. Sorry. This hit me because I remember what these that's were.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stop. You get low, man. You take yourself to a really low place. And it's not always a public place. It's very inside, man. You die inside. I had to, because I could feel it. I never broke the needle. I never, I can say I didn't get there. It was my actions in the world. It was how I was relating to people sometimes. That was the thing. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't feel like that about someone. Oh my God, I'm doing that. I did that. I said that. And then it started to hurt. I love vodka. It's basically tasteless and scentless, so you can often get away with consuming it in public places. I'd fill water bottles with vodka. I'd be walking around with water bottles that say Evian. Bull fucking shit, man. That wasn't Evian. I was known, people called me the Black Russian. I love cargo pants. You know why I fell in love with cargo pants? Because they can hold bootnickies. I walked around with a pocket full of vodka 24/7. And then it started to hurt, man. The shots started to hurt right there. I know where they hurt. I know where it's going to hurt. It picked a spot. Some will say, that's anatomically where your stomach's at. Sort of, maybe, it doesn't matter. It picked a spot. And every time I took a shot, it hurt there. And then instant nausea. And then this afterburn. I'm going to call it an afterburn. And I was like, man, I'm not liking this. I've always loved it. Even when things went wrong, I loved it. More than loving it, love is easy. I liked it. It's hard to like. Love is easy. I loved people who abused me. Love is easy. I stopped liking it, man. It was getting me, it was hurting me. And all those things I was doing. And one day I said, as I was going right through the strip mall to my liquor store, I said, I think I'm tired of dying slowly. Sorry, the feelings are back. I'm sorry.
No, man.
I said, this hurts. I'm like, holy shit. I'm killing myself. I was going to do it quickly a few years ago. I am actually as sick as I was years ago. The same things are still hurting me, and I'm just choosing to do it slowly. And it's painful. That's when I really knew that I needed to stop but couldn't. And then lying to my present partner, lying to Shannon was it. When Shannon caught me in a bold-faced lie. And she said no. That changed everything. That changed everything when Shug said no. I credit knowing that it was time to stop, but I credit another nucleus. It's my third of only really 3 major relationships was going to end for this. But this woman said no. That was a big part of it too. The enabling wasn't going to happen. So I was either going to lose everything again, or I was going to try this for the last time because it has to fucking work. It has to. So I did all that work. I'm really happy for my entire life. Grateful for my entire life. But these last 7 years have been the fucking bomb.
It's what I you've been in Calgary a long time, and you didn't like pop onto my radar until like very recently. And I worked in nightclubs for a decade, and I was just, I was in a world for a long time, and our paths never crossed, which I find fascinating. But to see what's happening lately, just seems like you're in a groove right now. It seems like there's opportunities, or you're connected to some.
I'll give you the pinnacle credits. COVID-19, President Trump, the murder of George Floyd, and Black Lives Matter is the reason I'm here.
Those are 3 moments, and you know exactly why they.
Because I have never betrayed my style of poetry. Once I found who I was and did it, I wasn't well received. I wasn't well received in my Black literary community because I didn't say what they wanted to hear, and I didn't say how they wanted me to say it. I wasn't really received in the Canlit community. It's Canlit, and it's 1999. Do the math. Hold on. What was the question again? I was about to roar through. Oh, what I'm doing. Yes, here we go. I've never stopped doing what I'm doing the way I want to do it. I've worked no jobs to speak of that are worthy. I've worked dead-end jobs. I've worked to just eat. I've never had a future in any place that would dare employ me. I have said this recently because I think it's powerful, and I was afraid to say it to people because maybe it just sounds old school poetic. Listen to him wax. No, I am prepared to write to death. I didn't think I was going to have a great death, man. I said I got one good thing that I seem to be able to hold on to, whether I have an audience or not. I was going to write to fucking death. I was writing to death at jobs that weren't respecting or paying me. I was just living through this regular reality that we call a rat race, per se. And then COVID-19 hits. And the pandemic changed everything. My life changed on lockdown. There I am working at a massage clinic. I'm putting in my 40 hours. I've got an hour here and an hour there on public transit. That's 10 hours a day. That's 5 days a week. That's 50. I did some math. And I said, okay, in this lockdown, I basically have, actually they're 12-hour days. That's it. Because I don't walk in and work. There's always it's massage. There's the prep and the technical. These are 12-hour days. That's 60 hours a week. We now have, what's 6 times 12? 72. I now have 7,200 free fucking hours. Pardon me. Because everyone who's an artist, pardon me, everything crying. Everyone who's an artist who isn't making it, just like me, at the time, I think I'm making it now. Ask them, what do you need to make it? They never say money. We always say time. I suddenly have 7,200 hours at once. I said to myself, this is it. I'm going to take this as a sign. This must be the time to work on my career. What the fuck does that even mean? Because all I've been doing is hitting a post and a text and an email and getting a gig here and there, and I can't do it because I have to take days off. It's the same old routine that it's been for all my life. 7,200 hours in a fucking row. That's different. What do I do? Whatever it is that you're going to do, you have to have a realization of what it is, the atmosphere in which you're going to do. The atmosphere is, if you're a performing artist, you now have no audience. unless it's here. It's got to go digital. It's got to go online. People do one of three things with anything when it comes to changing. I'm going to dig in my heels. I don't like audio. I don't like visual. I don't like this AV digital. I don't like online. Some of our elders, they don't like technology. Some people who just don't like technology, regardless of generation. Some people dug in their heels and said, I'm not going to try and make a virtual presence with my artwork during this lockdown time. I even had some artists say to me, yeah, man, I need a break. I'm going to take a... Yeah, did you see your eyes? I looked at them. Really? You're doing that fucking good. That you've got... Amazing. You're going to take a break while you don't have to work. You're going to take a break from art. Pressure. So we've got people who say, fuck it, dig in their heels. Then you've got people who do what most people do. Okay, half-assed effort, medium amount of effort, medium amount of results. It's just like going to the gym for 2 fucking weeks, 2 fucking months, 2 fucking years, and you're still not Arnold Schwarzenegger. Give up. And then there's people like me. And the people like me don't have to be addicts, but they have that kind of energy where they put it all into what they wish to. I put my addictive energy into how do I become more present? Because I don't want to go back to massaging in this clinic. I had already wanted to quit. I already was disenchanted with working in someone else's dream. That's my nightmare. That is my fucking nightmare. It started out nice because you better make it nice. And then it was terrible. And I didn't want to go back, man. I said, I got to get out of here. That's what these 90 days are about. I got to get out of here. I actually had a business card holder, you know, that you get your cards in, like the actual. And when I opened it, it had that many business cards of people who've given me their cards over time that I never got to. I got 12-hour days. You want me to hit you up at 6 a.m. or do you want me to hit you up at 9:30 p.m. when you're ready to hear some shit coming out of my mouth that's totally thin because I've been working for the last 12 hours? Like, I emailed, phoned, faxed. I had a fax at the time. I hit up everyone whose number or whatever contact was still operational and said, hi, it's Wakefield Brewster, and we met somewhere, and I'm so very sorry it's taken this long, but I'm still around, and I still do what I do. I just wanted to, Jeff, we met at Model Milk one day, and I'm still here. 99% of those people reached back. So when the pandemic lockdown lifted up, I had a lot of online gigs happening. And inside of that one thing, when I talk about effort, in my day, you had to walk around and go to 100 open mics. Man, I had to leave my house for 100 different nights. Now it's all online. How easy it is. Are you telling me that it's too much effort to fucking look through the internet while you have 7,200 hours and find your communities and find opportunities? Because most of them are actually free to participate, and some of them are paying because they want participation. They want something to contribute to the community, which is now only virtual. I couldn't believe how so many poets didn't do what I did. I blew myself up because of lockdown during the pandemic. Now, President Trump, I love that guy. Love this guy. This guy did something for me, my BIPOC people, and everyone who is a vulnerable, a member of a disenfranchised or vulnerable community. He made hate popular. He put it in the open. He made it so delicious. Motherfuckers in their sheep's clothing, them wolves came out to eat. And they started hating out loud. Their memes. Oh, it's just locker talk. Soon as that dude made hate great, here's Wake. Delete that guy, delete that girl, delete that guy, delete that girl, delete this, he, she, them, don't care, delete you, motherfucking here, there, everywhere, don't fucking care, this shit can't stay. My circle of sociability, socialness, whatever you want to call it, my circle's got smaller, and I'm happy because I had friends who were racists, and I have friends who were genderists, and I have had friends or associates who were ists, and ists cause isms. Name your ist, pick your ism. You ain't in my life. That was the wonderful result of Trump. The haters got busted. The third thing I said was the murder of George Floyd. I am not happy for the murder. I'm saying the murder of George Floyd unfortunately contributed to me in this broad sense that 400 years is today. For once, when me and my people scream 400 years, it's not 400 years ago, it's 400 years and counting, and there it is in the fucking road. Now you know his name, and maybe you knew Ahmaud Arbery, maybe you knew Breonna Taylor. Do you know how many George Floyds there were that day in that same city, in that same state that you don't know? That happens every day. And now you can't deny it. Because we are locked up, as soon as anyone does anything, we see it. You motherfuckers are so exposed. Awesome. Awesome. This murder of George Floyd put our grievances on a world level scale. Man, we had brothers and sisters in Japan marching with their fists fucking up. Now, when I bring those three things to light, some people don't get it. And I say, listen, I'm in Calgary, reputedly one of the whitest places with backwards ways. It's called Hellberta for reasons. I believe it's not all Hellberta. Nothing is absolute. This is the third most culturally diverse city in Canada. It ain't redneck. I can say that the generations of rednecks and redneckery, they are quite generational, and they are moving on. Now, they teach their kids, but I believe that those teachings get thinner and fewer as the generations move on, and I believe that has shown itself to be true here. People like Cada Lemon, thanks. She, as a leader, and her associates, colleagues, like-minded people, I'm starting with her for a reason. Because in 2020, she published me in the Detour section, just one page after I'd become the first resident poet and spoken word artist of the Grand Theatre, a reputedly, notably toxic place, the birthplace of Canada's first human rights case, Charles Daniels. I'm up in that place just for doing work in the community, being present, trying to be that person with poetry, with pigment, with presence, in places that you've never seen me before. I think when all of these things together took note, and there I am charging poetry still in this kind of underground but steady way, I think Calgary, the forward-thinking, especially allied communities, said, this is my imagination, said, we can't deny we have people who don't look like us truly contributing to the fabric of us. I truly think that these incidents, the pandemic, made us see all of each other, especially ourselves, Mental wellness is a thing. Yeah. Trump and his hate, and then we started to see it's everywhere, even right beside us. Is it in me? And then, for my people, this particular murder that made particular communities here in Calgary truly see who some of their contributors are. They don't look like they've always looked like. That was 2020. I get that one little page. Man, I cut it out with an X-Acto knife and it's still framed over my desk.
It almost doesn't even make sense, right? From like where you were and to have that moment, that is a cutout, frameable.
It is cut out.
That is like
Miss Lemon. It is cut out. And it is, I walk and I see it, and it's not ego. It is literally, I think this is where it began. Really, I mean that. That garnered so much publicity for me, that one detours.
crazy.
2 years later, I'm poet laureate. A year later, Avenue gives me a feature. The steps of being recognized are in these very personal and sometimes public triumphs.
Yeah.
I feel that I'm not the only one winning either. As poet laureate, I've been exposed to the arts communities and other communities a lot more often. I'm not the only artist who's got it going and getting it going on. This entire city, artistically, is becoming one of the most influential cultural and artistic hubs Canada has. Those three major things for my life, I believe, put me here. Or I'd be spending 12 hours a day still. Like, what was going to stop it? I'm the first Black poet laureate.
No way.
There's been 5 before me. I've lost 5 times. 5 people who, generally, for all intents and purposes, have the same appearance. Status quo. I don't think I could have done these things anywhere else. Calgary, the struggles I've had in Calgary, the trials that I've had in Calgary have turned into triumphs. The trials that I had back home in Toronto, unfortunately, turned into tribulations. They often went in the wrong direction, bad to worse. It did get worse before it got better, but I did it here in Calgary. For all intents and purposes, I left home to find out where I belong in the world. Calgary, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I actually feel embraced by a community that is citywide. I don't get stopped in the street. People don't know who I am. But I feel like I'm at home, man. Like I privately walk around like the king of Kensington. Just like, yeah, man, I had a Kensington in Toronto. We got a Kensington here. I'm in both of them. I'm wearing my own crown. I'm getting down. I love this. I love it here. And I love feeling that I'm not just a poet and spoken word artist, but I'm a community member who genuinely loves to contribute. And I want to make Calgary a better place however I can with what I've got. I really love it here.
You said the word many times, community. It's sometimes it's vague, right? People can't.
Buzzword.
Yeah, people can't they just can't articulate it, or they can't figure out what we're saying. Because I believe in community wholeheartedly, right? This whole experience is built around community. When you during the pandemic, you got 7,200 hours, and you're looking for communities. What does that actually look like?
In a very physical way, it meant getting online and looking at that screen for a while, not knowing. It really did. I sat there and said, what do I do? And I honestly started to, I began with what was basic. let's look at what I do have. I don't have a website, but I have social media. Because I don't have the time to really look at it critically, now's the time. I have so much bullshit on my unfollow, notification off, dum, 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 dum. I silenced my social media, even though I used it more. Less is more. That was the first thing I did. I shut out what I didn't need. I didn't know what to look for, but I knew I didn't want to look at anymore. And people older than me, smarter than me, younger than me, all you tech wizardry kids still have a whole bunch of shit on your media that you don't need. Streamline your fucking media, man. That's the first thing I did. It's already noisy enough. Cut the noise. When I cut the noise, there wasn't that much around. If you get what I mean? It was clean and a little bare. But I could feel that I have made room. I have taken out all the crappy furniture, donated it to the right places because everything can be useful. Nothing's absolute, but I believe almost everything can be useful. So I did what I should have done with my tech lack thereof savviness. Now I'm going to try and fill the space with what? I'm a fucking poet. Every Facebook club that actually... I didn't think it was fluff. It had to feel driven, right? You know. Writers Guild of Alberta. AWCS. I'm trying to name all of you, and it's hard.
Dude, you're doing fantastic. So,
You know what I'm saying? I found their groups and joined them. League of Canadian Poets. I finally joined it after 24 years of being one of Canada's most dynamic and well-known Black performers when it comes to spoken word poetry, and there I am, not even infiltrating the community. That's an insidious thing for me to say, but I have to put myself in what has always been perceived as predominantly white spaces to change them from seeming, at the very least, as predominantly white spaces and be a part of the fucking community. It's called the League of Canadian Poets. Well, why? I joined it, and it's investment. You pay to join. I'm investing in my career. Who told you anything was fucking free? So I invest in it, and I pay dues, and I get news, and I learn things from Gander to freaking Victoria now that I would never have known. And I did that with all of my media. Almost all of it is geared to poetry and spoken word. Everything is geared toward Calgary first. I've streamlined everything, not general, and get everything online. I want Calgary first. Well, that feels pretty limiting. Yep. I fucking live here. Why do I want all of the news of everywhere first, but here? I'm not a great thinker. It just made sense. I found every living poetry community. Then I found every living artistic community that was receptive to poetry and a poet coming in to make a presence. And that led me to further reach particular communities, like ones that deal with BIPOC, ones that deal with gender, ones that deal with race, religion, color, creed, philosophy. Because you can't have all those people in the same place all the time without it being chaos. But when they have agendas and they're being organized, and then they say, we've heard of this dude who says some stuff. I wonder if he could say it here or say it for us. This is how I've made myself a member, an active member of communities, not at large, the ones I mentioned especially, and some others that are invisible because you can't see me as a neurodiverse person. You usually have to, it's situational. I present well. I know how to present well. Social work term, I know how to present well. But in the wrong situation, you can see where I can't present anymore. There it is. I have a neurodiverse community. I speak for these communities through poetry. I talk about alcoholism, addiction. I talk about homelessness. You know why? Because without being enabled, I was skimming homelessness all the time. There are times when I'm not with that one relationship. How am I even supporting myself? Man, I write about mental unwellness. Man, I know what that's like. Wellness is not a destination. It is a route to. So I'm still on that route. I'm not completely well. I won't be completely well. I'm happy getting better. I write about these communities that are so visible and invisible. I show up in specific communities during specific gatherings and specific facilitations to perform either seemingly, I'll say, kind of timeless in my repertoire pieces that apply to so many things, or I show up with a professional poetic interpretation where I've worked with the community to create something new specifically for them and then bring it and unveil it there, which is what I'm doing after this. I'm actually going to the Calgary Downtown Association's annual general meeting with a piece called Novus Textura, which is named after the exhibit Novus Textura, which is on Stephen Avenue. Those big ribbons. I wrote a piece to interpret this installation, this grand installation. We unveiled it a few months ago at the site, but now at their AGM, I've been very kindly asked to be a part of it and represent this poem. And it's a professional poetic interpretation. You can ask someone to write about those ribbons, or you can ask someone to do what I do. And I do a lot of diving, a lot of connecting, and a lot of people work to speak your language in my accent. And that's why I call it professional poetic interpretation. I don't just write about the chair. You want me to write about the peacock wicker chair that is a sign of royalty in the Black community? Wow, let's do the history of this. Let's look it up. Who's been in it? How did this knowledge even get to me? What was the story that got to me that identified the chair that I can look up factually, but now I can look up culturally and historically as it is relative to my people? I dig in places where it isn't even at to build you this piece of poetry where, in its simplest terms, is your language in my accent. I think that, or those specific elements, details, factors, are the things that have connected me to very specific communities. None of them are necessarily the same. They might have relative interests, but that gives me that illusion that I'm everywhere. Think about yourself. You're not one community. Everyone, think about how many communities you actually belong to. You just don't walk them on the outside every day visibly. I try to write to those communities instead of walk with them. I walk them. I am them. It's time to write about us. I can write about me all day. It's never just me, man. I don't care how that sounds. I don't live in a vacuum. 8.8 billion of you motherfuckers are running around here. And even when you're not in my house, you're right here. I could turn that off and you're right outside my door. I don't live alone. Most of the time, y'all are writing the story for me.
How do you, this route that you're on right now, it's wildly different than your past. How do you keep the momentum going? Do you give it much thought?
It's a fucking poetry party, man. This is amazing. I know now, because of where I've gotten to, that I can keep going this way. The world has finally accepted Wakefield Brewster in the world as I want to be, as I've always believed I've been. I'm a poet and spoken word artist. I work with sensitive material and sensitive communities to bring connection. It's a life of service. It is. I am a registered massage therapist, and I don't fucking talk. Unless you talk to me,
No way.
I won't talk to you. This is an intimate exchange. Talking often distracts your body from accepting the wellness that I am employing. If you come in, you're like, yeah, it's this and that, you're regular. All of them are regulars. You're all my regulars. We don't even have to say much. But sometimes my people come in, we're comfortable, and they're like, wait, man, I got to go to sleep. I'll be back in 5. You know what to do. You know which side to be on. I'll be back in 5. And we say nothing. I love massage because I don't talk. People talk about the energy they feel in a performance. They'll say very kind things. Wake, it radiates off you. I can feel it. Now you can really feel me. I'm not going to say a word. Now you're really going to feel something. I love massage. Massage is the reason that I'm sober. I quit. And if you've heard of a dry drunk, that is a person who has stopped the habits but hasn't sought wellness. They're angry. They're a raw nerve. They're no longer dampening the pain. So they're being really brave by not indulging, but they're not well. That was me for months. When I was gently pushed into massage, thank you, Shug, gently took a year for me to trust her. When I went into massage, you do osteology and myology and anatomy and physiology and punchologies. But then you go to psychology. And then you get into this thing called wellness. Wellness? Wellness? That sounds like some rich white lady shit. Wellness. The fuck is this wellness? This shit is life. This shit is real. Wellness ain't rich white lady shit. Wellness is the shit. Once I understood just a few elements of wellness, the burning stopped. Woo! Let me tell you, that fire is, as the goosebumps go up, man, that fire, I can feel it again. Because I mentioned it. When I started to understand wellness, I started to do those in class while they were instructing. I had a few, and it wasn't a joke. I know I'm prone to hyperbole. I tell stories. Me going, that was real. If I didn't have massage, I don't believe I would have discovered wellness. Wellness was around before massage, and I thought it was bullshit. So I didn't investigate it. Thank you, massage. And yeah, that's weird. A black male goes into massage school. A black male at 45 going to massage school. That's some fucked up shit, I know.
At least you can see it though, right? You're not blind to it. Everyone's like, what the?
I know. So for all y'all out there who are now y'all. Yo, let me tell you. I understand how it sounds and looks, and the reason is because of the reasons I wouldn't go into it, because of Hollywood, because of toxic male masculinity, because of a poor understanding of sexuality. Massage is not sexual. If you're a masseuse, there you go. I am a therapist. I make muscles move more mindfully. When I went to enroll, I came with a dual tang. I wrote an essay to vet myself. What's this 45-year-old black male doing in an industry that is still predominantly seen, if not in number, perception? Clientele is female. practitioners are female. What's this 45-year-old brother doing up in this house? Right? Yo, I'm the one asking the question, went with the essay. So I was prepared to be vetted, to be allowed into this. So to be obtuse, visual, even glib, understand. No one comes in my fucking house. This world got a little weird, even with neighbors. We're very particular about who comes in our home. The end. Energy is real. We talked about it in this place. Energy is fucking real. Only the good shit. Sometimes I've gotten to know some clients because they've come in with problems. And they just start talking, like hair people, barbers, taxi drivers.
Yep.
It's a social, right? So before they get to know you and then don't talk, they talk to keep themselves safe, feeling good.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, I seem to particularly draw very vulnerable things out of people. I don't ask, so what's up? Yo, I've had a lady for the first time get on a table and in 5 minutes decided to let me know that she's going through her partner recently dying, and she's asking me, how do I get through this? So I have people who just get on this table. Don't know where this story was going now.
It's a good one.
People talking. Back me up. Where was I? We were people talking on the table. I don't know. Do you remember where we were?
You're on energy. You're on.
All right. But why were we on the energy? Energy in the house. People coming over. Here we go. That's how I see massage. The same way I don't want people in where I live. When people are talking to me, sometimes I've asked them, so where do you live? Because they're talking about the physicality. So where do you live? And they say, I live at XYZ. And I say, I'm going to ask you this 3 times, and you're going to answer 3 times, and you're going to be correct 3 times, and you're going to be wrong 3 times. Where do you live? My address. Yep. I'm massaging, right?
You're working.
Where do you live? Calgary. What is this? Yep. Where do you live? Wake. Okay, Alberta, Canada, Earth. Okay, where? Yeah. And then I'll stop massaging and I'll say, you live here. And I'll go back to massaging. I'll let them know, this is your home. Fuck the soul shit. You live in here. You feel this. It carries that soul. It's bound. So this is important. This is where you live in the same way people don't go unannounced, uninvited into strangers' homes and then start fucking around with their furniture. You have come into this room naked under a sheet, prepared for me to help you, and I'm going to touch you. You have invited me into your home. I'm only going to place hands where you allow, which means I'm going to only go into the rooms you did guide me. And when I get there to work on those muscles, which is the furniture, I'm not going to rearrange the furniture. I'm going to now take a good look at it, and together we'll redesign your furniture. That is how I see touching a person. If you don't see it in some way greater than skin rubbing, if you don't feel that invested, don't touch anybody, man. Don't touch anybody. You don't deserve to touch somebody if you don't feel like that about their body. Don't touch them. People live here. I want to help people live better. I live a life of service with words and with wellness.
It's to get to this point, like it's crystal. It makes so much sense. And they both work so well together.
I couldn't see that. When I say this to people, they say what you say. Wakefield, that was obvious. I'm like, it took me.
No, not obvious. No. I'm like, I can't believe you actually got there. You know, like, and so many people, without even like, So many people can't figure that out with any experience, positive, negative. People can't get to that spot where they can say it.
I feel, I have suspicions that one of the greatest forward-moving machinations in humanity is to serve one another. I know how that sounds. You can put that in, hey, I bet it's in the Torah. I bet it's in the Bible. I bet it's in the Quran. Be a better human. You can take those big texts and bring it down to one sentence.
Yeah.
Be a better person. We call it life of service in modern day times. I think I live a life of service. The day I believed I got it, and I was asked to tell this last night, I'm so glad it's here. I didn't learn that I was living a life of service until I took Tai Chi. I am a black belt in Taekwondo. Yeah, you better check.
No, we're good.
Okay. And though I don't practice heavy and haven't practiced heavy in years, because I've done things in my body, I decided, Shug and I went to Tai Chi. And the instructor, her name is Jo. And Jo is typically a tiny person with this gigantic light. And Jo calls us all to be in a circle because she has something to tell us, because maybe she's feeling the energy or has heard the conversations. She's a master. They're not regular humans. And I get up there, I know a story's coming, I'm like, inch B, oh. She's like, Wakefield, Taekwondo, don't do that here. Oh, sorry. Because I'm like, I know the lesson's coming, right? She says, let me tell you why people are in Tai Chi. I'm like, oh, man. My brain is already leaking. It's already coming down my shirt. She says, there are millions of us, we'll even say billions of us who are practicing Tai Chi, who have practiced, are practicing, will practice. But inside of that scope of practitioners, only a very thin number of us practice lifelong. And I was like, yeah, what is this shit? Because I said I wouldn't do that with Taekwondo. I said I wouldn't just get a black belt and leave it. And that's kind of what happened. I left Toronto and never really was able to get back on the horse. I went into a deep hole. And maybe that's why Tai Chi made me feel better. I was back in martial arts. Yes, it is the walking meditation, but anyone who knows Tai Chi moves and then has to move them fast on you, you're taking a beating. So there I am, realizing that my balance is shit because Taekwondo is jump, kick, punch, fast, commitment. This is slow. This was really doing something for me, and now a big lesson's coming. The reason people come to Tai Chi, all of those who don't stay, they don't know why they're there. They believe it's a couples thing. It's for health. It's for well-being. It's for, and she says, yes, it is. But the reason that the people who come and leave, this is why they're here. They have something to get through. They don't know this, but Tai Chi has come to them. They think they sought it out. It sought them out. It brought them here like an entity that's alive. And as they are now calming their minds, calming their bodies, calming their spirits, moving with intention, holding focus, you don't just do that shit and walk out under every lesson. You're a changed human. It's cumulative. Not easily seen, but it stacks. Master Jo says, they come and Tai Chi helps them solve the problem. And then they leave. They don't even know that they've left. Most practitioners who are intermittent, periodic, one time, They don't know it. Tai Chi is helping them solve a life problem. And then the problem's solved, and it's like Tai Chi leaves them. It's not a stealing. It's a gleaning. Glean and go. Mm-hmm. That's when I realized why I do poetry. I was like, oh, fuck. It's not all advocate for literacy. It's not all taking artists who are especially poets and making them better artists. It's not working with artists to mentor them. It's all those things, but I think I'm helping people with problems because especially when I work with grade 5 to 13, every time several students ask the teachers, poetry hits them. And we find out who's abusing them. And we find out they're like me, that they drink. I had a kid come out of the crowd and take me in a room and say, I need help. I'm drinking. And I'm like me? I said, yeah. And I was able to get them the help. I'm not crediting me.
No.
It's poetry. It's sharing this. I'm helping. And I have needed help, man. So I better help. The last thing I'll say on that is the lifestyle that I created for so long, it hurt the people closest to me. I have lost family. I have lost some friends. And I have lost time. I have shortened up my life, man. So whomever it is that I needed is who I need to be for. That is the best thing I can do. I hurt people that I don't know. How about that? With that lifestyle of intoxication, I have hurt people whom I'm never going to meet, who still remember me and how I hurt them. I know this to be true. Because people have hurt me and they're no longer in my life and they don't know they've hurt me. So I know I've done this. Yeah. And I've done it a lot. Because I've been fucked up a lot. That's a lot of vicarious trauma, man. And I'm the epicenter. Fucking grade A. What a fucking legacy, eh? So I feel that I have a life of atonement to get on to. I have hurt a lot of people. That's my only regret. I don't really regret any bad things. I regret hurting people. So now I better help.
You're on the path.
Because I can't go out with leaving a scar on the world. I recently heard Neil deGrasse Tyson speaking of another scientist who waxed poetic on being here. The sheer number of humans that could exist compared to the number of humans that do exist is so infinitely greater. There are so many humans that have not made it. The biological gamble of this sperm and this egg meeting and doing it right so that you come out capable. I'm trying to be kind when I say that so that we all come out at that human blueprint capable. It's fucking thin. It's small. It's infinitesimally small. So when I hear people say, I don't owe this world nothing, fuck off. Then leave. I owe this world everything. I've come to the conclusion I owe my life to this world and I'm going to do my best to give it back. I'm not this weepy all the time.
No, it's
I'm getting old and sensitive. And this happens because people are asking about some core things.
Well,
and I don't mean to. I'm just overwhelmed being able to speak about it.
Yeah.
And hopefully speak for those and to those that need the exchange, that need the communication.
Yeah. Yeah.
I carry lots of tissues.
You know yourself well. Man, this has been one. You're right. People do need to hear this. You bringing a voice and having a voice takes courage and bravery and sharing that one little story of one student. I think you're on this path where this is going to be a regular occurrence, which is that's going to take some energy to deal with, right?
It takes energy.
Yeah,
it's good. It's a good take on good energy.
Yeah. I end the show with one question. You kind of already touched on it, but I'm gonna take you back there.
All right.
When I say Calgary, where's your head go?
To my heart. I'm living. Calgary goes to my heart. I didn't have to pause. I love it here. I keep saying I love Calgary. It's for everyone and everything that knows it has touched me. You're the reason I love Calgary. You too. You're the reason I love Calgary. You too. All of this good shit ain't much not to love. So, thank you, Calgary.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Dude, really thank you. Thank you for just being you, and thank you for taking the time to do this.
Thank you. This has been all my honor.
Thanks.